Holy! Apparently the setup isn't set up on this one.
No,
so,
because that was me.
well,
Straight
away. This is the worst night of my life. All right, I'll give you a little intro. No, that's a thanks for watching. Oh, well, whatever. We're here.
This is car crash stuff. This is car crash.
Yeah.
TV. Hello, everyone. I will try and steer us back on ship. This is round 5 of the NRL Supercoach season. I am somewhat of a host, the SC Whisperer, joined by SC Mattrix. No brain, mate. We've fallen apart. I was using this studio before we went record, and I took the video off, so I do apologize. But tins are cracked. How are you?
Great. Well, you just saw, we're running 2 minutes late, but you just saw my kids screaming, running past the screen. I'm not even wearing pants, so that's how set up I am for this one. But anyway, I'm excited. Mate, on today's show, we're going to go through the winners and losers. Of course, we got our buy, hold, and sell. We've got our watch list. We're going to give our thoughts on all the buys. We've got our captain's corner and every other little chat. We've got a little rapid fire later on. Mate, it's a pretty exciting week. It was an interesting TLT.
Very, very interesting TLT, mate. Obviously, we were pretty blessed with team news before. We knew sort of Monday and early Tuesday just how much of chaos it'd be, but something like 26 players are missing this week. Thankfully, not too many Supercoach relevant ones. Obviously, the big one being Tom Trbojevic, but plenty to talk about, mate. Let's firstly, the most important part of the week, let's talk about the squeeze of the week, brought to you by the Standard Squeeze. If you're sick of breaking glass bottles, your beer going warm on you, your coffee going cold, the Standard Squeeze helps you to solve all those problems. Basically, helps you drink responsible, but also conveniently, you can go to the website, thestandardsqueeze.com, and use the code IFS 2025 to get yourself 15% off everything in the store, mate. Round 4 was won by Darren, coach of the Sharpest, impressively. The coach of the Sharpest. Impressively, he moved up 40,000 spots last week. Captain Nico and had Hopper Wide pod, a bit of a Lehigh pod. He had Preston, he had Sheba, he had Terrell, he had Max Plath. Mate, what an unreal effort by Darren. So he is our squeeze of the week. And to move up 40,000 spots, he moved up more spots than your and my rank combined. So massive shout out to him.
Yeah, it was unreal. When I opened up and had a look at it, I was like, Darren, bro. I was like, you're not getting fired this week. Darren, for some reason, had Lehigh Hopewadi and still Captain Nico and come away with the win. It was huge.
Yeah, absolutely massive. And yes, Brian in the comments saying his position on the podcast is safe. It has been about 3 years since I've ever had to host a podcast. Normally, I'd be up to date with this sort of stuff, but I've been slacking the last couple of years. So, mate, this is a car crash TV show. But thankfully, I think we only had 40 people in the live before this one went live. So they didn't see the car crash TV. But shout out to Darren. Get in contact with the Insight page and we can hook you up with your Standard Squeeze pack. But yes, we do still have our fearless leader, Dylan Dogs. He went from first to third. So bit of a downgrade from him, but still in third is a great spot. Let's have a look at some weekly previews. I'm going to try and work out. I was going to say, mate, I don't know how to use that. For anyone that's not from everyone that used to watch my old podcast back in the day, I use much different software to what these boys use. So I'm just going to put my hands up and let them take the wheel. But we do have a weekly preview, mate. We've got Jesse Cole-Holland on the extended bench. Good to see him returning back from that ACL injury that plagued him during last year. He was a guy we highlighted in our preseason preview for the Sharkies. Good to see him back. And Marine Horodi comes into the centers for the injured Kale Ero. I guess just some off-the-fly news, mate, as well. The 24-hour cuts happened just before we went live. And Teague Wilton is out, and Billy Burns comes into the edge. So the Sharkies up against the Raiders there in Canberra, missing a couple of players.
I actually really like Billy Burns' game, so I'm pretty excited to watch this one. And it'll be good to see how Horodi goes. Probably going to change the odds a little bit from don't want to touch on your over the cap stuff from the other pod, but might change the odds a little bit. A couple of outs for these guys, but yeah, no, I still like the Sharks in this one.
As viewers of Over the Cap know, there's a male host and a female host, and I can tell you the male host definitely tipped the Raiders plus 4.5 in this one. So, yeah, pretty happy with that one.
But
Mate,
I follow you on Twitter, mate, and you did a post about Nico, and I know that you actually hate the Sharks. So yeah, shout out to all Sharks fans there.
Hate the Cowboys after the Warriors carried on last week. Hate them as well. Just hate a lot of teams. Mate, we see Casey McLean coming in for the injured Brian Toto. We have IPAP moving to the second row with Lindsay Smith starting at prop. And the Cowboys do see themselves at 1-17. Obviously, the big one, and we'll talk about him in today's episode, is Tom Jenkins. I think you've labelled him as a pretty much must-have.
Yep.
Nothing's changed for me on him.
No, nothing's changed. As soon as I saw that little green dot, or because I'm a sicko, I was looking at the team list before the dots popped in. Yeah, 100%. Tom Jenkins is a buy. You must own him at 200K, -90 break even. I was talking to Mick from the AFL show today, and like I was trying to explain how much of a buy Tom Jenkins was, and it's just hard to explain how quickly he should be in your team.
As we know, you're a big AFL guy.
Huge AFL guy. My score in my score in NRL and my rank in AFL is very similar.
Yeah. So big AFL guy. Always looking at the CBAs, always looking at the toggle percentages as well, mate. I know you're a huge AFL watcher. For South, mate, this is probably the most relevant news of the Teamlist Tuesday. Jai Gray wearing the number 1 with big Trell Mitt back in the centers. Fuck, that makes me very aroused seeing him in the centers. And we do see him coming off the back of the hamstring injury. Tass moving to the wing with AJ out. And we do see Lockie Hubner returning from suspension as well, with Tallis Duncan on the bench for the Chookies, mate. Connor Watson back with Zach Docker-Clay to the bench. Nat Butcher comes in at lock. They're the big changes. But yeah, I mean, Jai Gray retaining the fullback spot, Trell coming in at centers. A lot of people are saying, it's because Jai Gray's playing fantastic. And I'm sure that's got something to do with it. But I also think it's heavily due to the fact that Campbell Graham is out and Alex Johnson is out. So I imagine once Stretch is back, we see Whiten move back to left center and Trell slot right back neatly at fullback.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, they've been winning games with Jai Gray there. I think there's also like a little bit of letting him ease back into it. Like, we know Hammy's the re-injury risk is high. Let's just not give him his full workload to start and just let him warm into the season. We know Trell's great at center. He's a premiership winner, if I remember, at center. So yeah, let's just let him there and let him ease into the season. As you said, Tass is going to go to the wing because AJ's out. So there's a few holes for the Rabbitohs to fill. But they do always get up for this game against the Roosters. Mate, let's have a little bit of a chat about the Eels because Riley Smith, I've got him in the winners column because there's no proven hooker on the bench. Of course, they've got the utility. Dylan Walker, his first game for the Eels will be in this week. But Riley Smith, what are your thoughts on him, mate?
Riley Smith is a big fan of the Insight podcast, I found out this week. So shout out to him. I know you'd be watching, Riley, so I really appreciate the support from you. And hopefully you do well this week, mate. Like, honestly, to see him get the start is fantastic. He does have a break even of 14. So if he does come out and scores like 50, he's probably going to go up about 28, 29K. So I'm very happy to wait and see what that minutes rotation does look like. But you obviously got Jermaine Hopgood at 13. Dylan Walker's not coming into take him out of the squad. So you're going to have Walker at 13. And we're going to get a really good idea on the minutes that Riley Smith is getting. If he does, get close to 65, 70, then he becomes, I'm not going to say must have because the PPM hasn't been fantastic, but he's definitely got through work. And if he's putting up good scoring numbers, then he's a guy that we could be considering next week, definitely. A lot of people in our sort of WhatsApp chat are asking about him this week. But for me, it's more just let's wait and see how the rotation goes, see what Dylan Walker's doing. But no proven hooker on the bench is a huge, huge tick for him, mate. We do see Toby Couchman starting for the Dragons. We've obviously got Emre Gula suspended as well, so he would come in to start. For the Finns, mate, Max Plath coming in for the suspended Tom Gilbert. Lemuelu moving to the edge with Plath moving into the middle. And for your Bronx, mate, obviously Jordan Ricky is out. We do see Brendan Pear-Cora get his first start of the season on the right. And lastly, Leha Habawadi coming in for the injured Tom Trebojevic. About 6 weeks, Matty. No surgery needed, which is great, but still 6 weeks out for Turbo is that. They're the winners, mate. But something really, really exciting that I guess has been in the works for myself and for, I guess, the podcast. We have no graphics for it, but we will definitely have them next week. But we have an official show sponsor for the rest of the season. Draftstars have been ever so kind to have partnered with the Insight Fantasy Network, myself, you, and Braino as well. For anyone that's not familiar with what Draftstars is, well, it helps you get off the bench and into the game, play for fun or play for cash, and compete against other sport fans across Australia. Effectively, mate, it's weekly fantasy. It's weekly. Pretty much, we have a salary. We have $100,000, and we have to pick players based off that salary. As you know, mate, nothing more frustrating than we spending months and months of the preseason planning and our team goes to shit in round one. The beauty of Draftstars is it's week to week. You can jump in whenever you want. You don't actually have to play the whole round either. If you want to just play the Thursday night game, you can do that. You can pick a whole squad based off Thursdays. There's a link in the description for an exclusive first-time competition with just viewers of this podcast. Draftstars are guaranteeing $300 prize pool for that one for just $10 entry. So, yeah, Daily Fantasy Sports is popping, and we're very, very excited to be partnered with Draftstars. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys more about the products, I guess, as the season goes on. But yeah, the wheels are definitely in motion for Draftstars, and we've got a couple of players this week, Maddie, that you, me, and Maddie, you, me, and Braino are keen on either picking or fading. I guess we'll start with Braino. And as we said, there is scoring for this. We'll link to the scoring and all that in the description. But basically, Matty, you got to pick a squad of 8 players. It's like 2 middles, 2 flexes, 2 halves, a hooker, and some outside backs. You got $100,000 to spend. It's like Supercoach, pricing fluctuates each week based off form. But as I said, mate, $100,000 budget, and Jamie Humphries is $23K. So that's 23% of your budget. Braino's pretty keen to fade. And I can understand why. Tough matchup, losing the goal kicking to Latrell. He's near enough Nathan Cleary price, which is absurd.
Yeah, no, you've just got to stay away from him this week. Who
are you fading?
Look, I was having a look at the at it a bit before, and I was looking at the Eels and the Dragons games, and Damien Cook just doesn't excite me at 16,700K. 16,700. I'm just going to be staying away from that one. I like the format where you duck into individual games as well, so that I have something, I suppose, direct to look at the game, and I just see better value in this game. Like straight away, our boy Riley Smith at 10,000. Playing a similar sort of role. I'll buy it for a worse team, but that $7,000 saving can just get you so much more in Draftstars. So, yeah, and when you're looking, I suppose, to angle it down into the one game, you're looking to try and get the most amount of value. So you can go get a gun and, so that you hope your Zach Lomax or somebody can perform in that one. To put it into perspective, Damien Cook is more expensive than Zach Lomax in this game. So, yeah, I'm just looking at upside and everything like that. So I'm going to be staying away from Damien Cook this week.
And like you said, mate, like it's not just a weekly thing. Like you don't have to play the entire round. You can just play the Thursday game. Like you can just pick your squad based off Thursday players and play in that competition. But to give people, I guess, some incentive as well. Like as we said, we've got the $300 competition that costs $10 to enter, and it's just exclusive to you guys watching. So it's going to be a lot of new players as well, which is going to be great to get your toes into the water. But if you're a seasoned, I guess, Draftstars player, or you fancy yourself as a bit of a fancy guru, this Thursday, the Raiders against the Sharks, Draftstars are putting up a $12,000 prize pool for just $15 entry. So first prize is going to be about $1,200, mate. Not a bad little investment for $15. And yeah, take those, I guess, tips as you will. Some guys that I'm really liking, mate. I mean, I'm loving Selwyn Cobbo, $9,400 up against the Tigers, up against Luke Lawali'i. We saw Selwyn really improve his work rate last week, coming out of his own end quite well. A lot of tackle busts. I think there'll be line breaks aplenty here as well. So, like I said, you got to pick 8 players for $100,000, and you're getting Selwyn Cobbo for like 9% of your budget, which I think is really, really good value. A guy that I am fading, mate, is Jake Clifford, nearly $19,000. Obviously, off the back of 2 tries last week, that price is quite inflated. Up against the Penrith Panthers, I just cannot go near him at all, whether I'm going to be playing that game, that day, or the entire round.
No, absolutely, mate. And a couple of my gets, I suppose, the guys that I'm keen on. I look at this game as well, and it's situational. Like being a fantasy sport, I suppose. I look at someone like IPAP. I like his upside in the second row. So at K there. He's somebody that I can just definitely get around in this one. I don't really love, like, you're looking at Johnny Bateman and his iPad money at the moment. So realistically, I'd look to fade, some of those bit more expensive blokes. Again, like your Clifford, like your Bateman, and just go with the Panthers and hope that they're flat track bullies against this, albeit disappointing team this year in the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, that's just a brief, I guess, introduction to Draftstars, but yeah, we'll be talking about it more as the season goes on. But let's get back into regular proceedings, mate. Let's have a look at the losers from this week's TLT. Yeah, this one's for the losers. Mate, there is plenty of losers this week. Victor Radley with that fractured cheekbone. Zach Docker-Clay back to the bench as well. Saw a lot of people jump on him last week. I mean, a lot of, I guess, newer players to the game have probably learnt the hard way. But in saying that, I still think the minutes could be there for Zach Docker-Clay, depending on what we do with Watson and how much Nat Butcher's getting time in the middle. But Tallis Duncan, mate, talk to me about him because, like, he seems to be always the one that we're so keen on. It just never pans out.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's Hubner as a winner, really, here. Like, Tallis Duncan, extremely talented. If the role is there, then wheels up to him. But the role just doesn't seem to be there. Wayne's brought in his guy in Lockie Hubner. We did that little write-up in our Patreon today, and I was pretty keen on Hubner. So, and it's role dependent. If Tallis Duncan had that spot, then yeah, excited. But he just keeps missing out. So maybe he is just going to be that spot minute guy early on in his career. But Latrell Truthers, I would say that they're a little bit of losers. Like, if Latrell goes straight back to fullback, goal kicking fullback, I'm super excited for Latrell. But to be completely honest, him at center doesn't excite me as much. I definitely won't be going there. So I'm going to say, if you were super keen, if you'd save money for Latrell, like a lot of people I know have, those guys that like to plan ahead a few weeks, yeah, I would call Latrell truthers or Latrell future buyers losers in this case.
Yeah, and probably the biggest loser actually came at about 1 o'clock today when the official NRL Supercoach account posted that Latrell would not be getting center wing dual. So a big kick in the teeth there, considering guys like Connor Tracy have center wing dual when we sort of all knew that he'd be playing in the fullback spot all preseason. It feels a little bit pick and choosy, but hey, it is what it is. But Trell, no center wing dual for him, which is great. Brian To'o just in the mud, out for 4 weeks. Looks like he's redone that hammy that plagued him in the preseason and the start of the season as well. Obviously, Joey Lussick and Brendan Hands, big losers for them, dropping out as well. Emre Gula, we've already touched on Toby Couchman starting, but Gula's copped that 3-week ban. Sam Verrill's out with a hip injury, mate. Jordan Ricky suspended. Jerome Luai suspended. Solomon Afatape, I mean, that's probably a win for Tigers. But Luke Lowley comes in with Jarrell Skelton.
It's a loss for poor old Solomon. He didn't have the best game last week.
Yeah. I mean, he got promoted to the top 30 today, so, comes and swings and roundabouts. But Jarrell Skelton, mate, I think he's a bit of a loser as well because all week the Tigers sort of told us last week that, he was 50-50 and very close to playing. And now 4 or 5 days later, he's just not named at all, not even in the 22.
Yeah, 100%. There must be something else going on there. Like, there has to be an injury or something along those lines that is, like, it's obviously not as clear cut. Obviously, he wasn't as close as he was last week to coming back as he was. But yeah, you'd call it a loser. We haven't heard any news out of Tigers camp.
No, nothing.
White noise, yeah. Yeah, really, really rough there for Skelton because a lot of us held.
Jake Lindsay said the Tigers gave us the media treatment. Absolutely, they did, mate. Yeah, Turbo, he's fine, he's fit, he's ready to go, and then doesn't play for 6 weeks. So yeah, definitely that. And I'm sure we've got plenty. Like, we'll have plenty of questions today, and as we talk about the next segment, which is our buy, hold, and sells, I'll go through and start starring a couple of questions for us to highlight at the back end of the episode. But just quickly, mate, like Skelton probably is a sell now, I would imagine.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy, and yeah, it's a sell. I stashed him on the bench for 1 week, but just the way that we've got absolutely no news. Like, if you said that he was in next week, then yeah, I'd be cool. I've been pretty happy with the way that he's going, but yeah, he's just a sell with no news. No news is bad news in this case.
Yeah, I would think so. Especially like you got a guy like Tom Jenkins staring you in the face. People are asking me, do we sell like Arthurs or Skelton? I think the answer's pretty clear cut, mate. And the last one, obviously Tom Trbojevic, the big loser. And I would say owners are probably the big loser. Absolutely was worst case scenario, wasn't it? Like obviously was 50-50 to play last week, the week before last, didn't play. Everyone said, oh, well, we'll hold for Parramatta. And I think it was the right play to captain him last week. I think if you did hold, it was the right captaincy matchup. But it's just the worst case scenario, isn't it? Like he comes on. You'd rather him not play.
Yeah, 100%. If they just set it out, like I really feel for those people that trade him out for a week to try and get a really good captain that 1 week and then trade him back in. Oh man, this stings worse than 3 trades hurts more than the losses in cash and everything like that. So
yeah, I thought about it. Don't get me wrong. Like I definitely, like I was sitting there thinking I had like 850K in the bank, and I'm like, oh, like I could go with Turbo, but then I just remembered like I don't buy Turbo off the back of injuries. I just think it was crazy. But mate, let's move into the buy, holds, and the sells, starting with the buys.
Target acquired.
Talk to me on your buy, mate.
This is probably the least sexy of the 3. As we know in the Insight chat, whoever gets their buys in first, pull rank. So I'll keep in mind
it's always the same bloke every week as well, just quietly.
Yeah. It's Hubner. I think it's not sexy, but if you need cash, Hubner's just one of those guys who could average 50 all year. He seems locked in at that number 13. You heard us referencing Tallis Duncan missing out over and over again. And it's just shown that he's just one of Wayne's guys. He was a hold a few weeks ago, but if you haven't been on, it's not too late to bring him in. I don't think he'll ever be an AE nightmare, which I'm often worried about when it comes to guys that are in their early 200s. And I think you can play him in a pinch. It might be a little bit of a slow burn, but as your 2RF6, I think he's an ad. I will note that a lot of the time with buys, and especially early on in the year, I consider some guys boost worthy and some guys not. I don't think Hubner is boost worthy. So there's a little caveat there for you.
Yeah, he's not like a Jenkins with like a -100 break even, so I can definitely understand that. For me, mine is the aforementioned Tom Jenkins. I think he is, probably the biggest must-have of the week. -92 break even, good job security, good work rate, good team as well. I don't really need to add much more to it. I just think he is the absolute pick of the bunch for me in terms of buys this week. And Brano has jumped on Jaden Campbell. No idea his reasoning. I mean, I can take a stab at the dark that he's probably the 5'8" one. Goal kicking in a very attack dominant team. Good draw. All makes sense. A lot of chat now WhatsApp about this week about whether we like JC or not. Personally, I'm not a JC guy. I was never a Joey Manu guy either. I'm never a Jerome Hughes guy. He's just one of those guys. I don't think I can ever get behind. I'd much rather love to buy him at 600 than 700, but I guess a lot of people are sitting there with a Metcalf they're wanting to get rid of, and he's probably the standard option, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And 5'8", we've said all season, has been a little bit of a wasteland, especially after that 100 and in the preseason. We thought Luke Metcalf could be that 600K guy. I thought Luke Metcalf could be that 600K guy. I'll put my hand up there. It's not to be, and with some of those downgrades, like you and I mentioned with Hubner and Jenkins, we do have a little bit of cash to splash. And I think the Titans' attack has always been impressive. He's got the keys to the city of Gold Coast. Like he's the king of the Cass. So yeah, I can get around it. Like he's playing against the Finns too. I think he goes Finns, Dragons, Raiders, Cows, and Knights. Like the draw's great. Should score a lot of points. I am gonna get on Jaden Campbell this week. So
nice. It'll be a good recap on Sunday when Brain's back, and I have the clown wig on because Jaden Campbell has scored 140 and I don't own him.
Target.
Great start by me by pressing the wrong media asset. Love that. For me, mate, I am holding Adam Dewey or Dewey or whatever you want to call him, AD, Tiger Center. I think he's been fine without being exceptional. He's averaged like 53, and he hasn't really done a whole lot. Does have that groin concern, but I still think he comes back in goals kicks if he plays this week. Yeah, I mean, 5'8", as we just said, apart from JC, nothing really screams out to me. And I think Metcalf's a much more pressing sell at 5'8" than Adam Dewey is. So, yeah, I'm pretty keen just to hold him. Same way I was keen to hold Cleary last week. Same way I was keen to hold Walsh the previous week. Like, surely people have more fires to put out than a guy that's got a green dot next to his name.
Yeah, and especially like if you're playing him at 5'8", we're not super excited about that position. He's probably a play. He was named last week. Let's remember, like, it's not like I would presume that it's not a huge injury if he's just named every week. Like, that's where I get scared with Skelton. But Adam Dwyer, he like hurt himself in the warm-up apparently. So, hey, look, he's somebody that I can get around holding to. Definitely understand it. Brando's not here, so I'm going to steal his next. Jesse Arthur's. And look, I understand like wanting to get off a guy that's peaking. And he might be peaking, but that 37 was in the absolute drip. Like, he was playing football in the middle of the pond. Any winger that tried to get the ball and run around the outside was not going to score well. We saw worse scores for Jermaine Asako and blokes like that. He's playing the Tigers this week. He's playing a heap of games at Suncorp. The Broncos have been favouring that side all year. Look, Jesse Arthurs might grow a second leg yet. I'm not sure I see 600K in his sights, but it could very easily be 550.
Mate, do you want to know what I think of people selling Arthurs?
Tell me.
You're a bunch of clowns. I don't get it. I don't understand why we're selling a guy playing in the dominant side for a very, very attack reliant team. Look, he's got a 62 break even, but like, what's the worst that happens? He scores 40?
37.
Yeah, for 37, and he loses 15, 20K. Like, I'm very happy to gamble 20K on playing the Tigers.
Yeah, I agree with you. Wheels up Jesse Arthurs. He's a play this week. Honestly, could even, if he was playing earlier on in the week, he could even be a vice captain option. So that's how much of a hold I think Jesse is.
A lot of people are selling him to buy Jenkins. We've got other issues, surely. Like, we have a Toya. I'd much rather sell Toya.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think Toya's probably still a hold, but I think he's less of a hold than Jesse Arthurs. At least I'm confident in playing Jesse Arthurs every week. Mate, my one was
just before we finish up on Jesse Arthurs, like, we can have the discussion next week to sell. If he scores 40 and his break even's 100, okay, we gambled 15K, we lost, but we played the matchup. And I'd much rather do that.
Absolutely. And the matchup seems to be there the following week for him too. So, but Isaiah Iongi, I think there's still just money to be made. I think he's just one attacking.
This is you buying Iongi last week.
Yeah, I know. But I do think that he is just one attacking stat off restarting that cash gen. Look, let's face it, the Eels suck, and this was going to happen. But he's still a hold if you own him. And if we still own him when Mitchell Moses comes back, I'm not sure we do in round 8 and 9. But if he is, he could still be this year's dream baller, I think. So,
that's... I don't know if I can go there. Come on, settle. But no, I do agree. I think the longer like this goes on, the longer he is shit, the closer we get to Mitchell Moses. And that's when we can make our assumption on Isaiah Iongi. Like, if he still sucks in round 10, all right. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. You've had ample chances now. You're just not very good. But I'm very keen to see him with Moses. So I think if you were an idiot that bought him last week, not naming names, I think you definitely have to hold. If you started with him, I'm okay with holding as well. I sold last week, but that was just to get some guy by the name of James Tedesco. Not sure if you've heard of him. It's pretty good. Yeah. But apart from that, yeah, I'd probably be keen to hold as well. Let's move into the sells. For me, mate, I'm sorry. It's your boy, Luka Metcalf. Oh, yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Luka Metcalf, for me, not the biggest sell, as you can tell. I got my notes in the last out of the three of these guys, so I had the pick of the less punch. But for me, Lukey Metcalf on the bye this week, break even of like, I don't know. It's like, I'm assuming it's like 65, 70.
It's 82, I think.
82, scored 50, like mid 50s with a try and 20 points in goal kicks. So I think Brano was putting in our group chat today that it was like 17 points without the attack and without the goal kicking, which is pretty much what we saw from him in that first week against the Raiders when they got shut out. So the highs will be there. The highs will definitely be there. We saw him in round 2 and boy, they were great, but the lows will also be there. So for me, it's like, if you need a 5/8, if you're really keen on JC, if you're really keen on Munster, then Metcalf is the guy to go. Yeah, that's the thing, Jamie. Jamie says, who do you sell Metcalf to? All the 5/8 suck. That's why I agree. That's why I'm not overly keen on Jaden Campbell. I'd much rather take the Mattrix approach of playing a man short this week and reassessing when either Campbell comes down, if that 100 rolls out of his 3-round average, or Munster finds some form. While you're cracking a brewski, mate, I'll also touch on Brano's sell, which is also a 5/8. It's Jerome Luai. Now, this one is also my number one pick. If I got to have pick of the bunch, you would have seen that on my social media post tonight at time of recording with my buy, hold, and sells on them. Jerome Luai was my sell, and I fully understand it. It's the Cooper Cronk syndrome. Unfortunately, it's just not translating to points. He's so influential for the Tigers, but it's just not helping his Supercoach scoring. He's organising shape. He's playing well in defense, but it's just not translating to point scoring, and he's also out. He's suspended, so pretty easy sell for me.
Mate, my sale's Tom Gilbert. Like, honestly, like, if his midness wasn't enough, and midness is a word, yes. Him being suspended just tips you over the edge. Like, yeah, he just doesn't have that base power that he seemed to have had in years past. The Dolphins kind of have Max Platt to fall back on when he's struggling. And I don't think he's been struggling. He's just not getting those Supercoach points, just not generating. Yeah, like if you had him, no harm, no foul. You just probably got this one wrong. So do you know something I really love about tonight, Josh?
What's that, my friend?
I reckon that every buy, hold, and sell that we've said, somebody's disagreed with it in the chat, which just shows how open this year is in Supercoach. So,
yeah, 100%. I love it. I honestly I prefer that. I prefer the discourse. As Eddie Hearn once said, the backlash makes me horny. I do like the disagreement because that way, yeah, it opens up really good discussion. So I think Gilbert sucks because people definitely would have got sucked into round. Mate, can you imagine selling Gilbert? How many people do you reckon sold Seyfarth in round 1 and bought Gilbert off the back of Seyfarth's like 36 and Gilbert's like 65, and it's just been flipped on its head?
Yeah, I reckon 18,000 people.
At least. I remember some guy in my comments, I don't know if you're watching, shout out to you, but like he was in my DMs abusing me, like full on abuse, telling me I'm a moron because I tell people not to buy Gilbert. And he said he was so confident he would bet me $500 that Gilbert would outscore Seyfarth for the next month. I don't know where he's gone. He's gone missing. Weird reason why he's gone quiet. But no, it sucks. I mean, Gilbert, yeah, he just got sucked into the round 1 BP. I think Brano and I touched on this in round 1's recap. I think that game had the most tackles by about 10% on the rest of the field. So massive base to the middle, and yeah, it just hasn't been there for him, and he's now suspended, unfortunately for him. On the watch list, mate, we do have Trell Mitt.
Watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
I forgot we had that. Yes, we do have Trell Mitt playing at center. I'd love to him to play at center for the next like 4 weeks and just fucking lose about 200k, and then we pick him up. But yeah, he's definitely one to watch. He's probably my favorite player in the NRL, so I'm very keen to see him back in action. And the Groot, big Jalen, the Groot, de Groot. He's also on the watch list. Not for me, but for you maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just if you need a bottom dollar guy, I think we've been absolutely blessed with Jenkins this week. But maybe if Toya has a stinker, and De Groot, pumps out a 60 or something this week, yeah, I could maybe get around, restarting the cash generation with another cheapie on your bench. Even though he's playing at fullback, he is center wing only. Just somebody I'm going to be keeping an eye out for this week.
Yeah, no, I was just reading some comments and trying to style them. Mate, let's move into some rapid fire buy holds and stuff. Do we have a sting for this one?
No, we don't. Sting
no. I told Brain to get the Batista thumbs up, thumbs down. He's slack, man. I can't believe he's not doing work for me as he's on the north side of the country. Absolutely terrible. We'll get it next week. Mate, obviously we do it every week. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. Ryan Pappenhausen by 3, 2, 1. No, not keen on Pappy. Talk to me.
No, I just like how much do we really think that he's going to be like? I think he was underpriced at 610. I think he's probably at value at 700k at the moment. He's good, but like we do know he has those lows. I do think that there's maybe a 40 in his midst in the next little bit. But yeah, look, I love Pappy. I just think like if you didn't buy him last week, like why this week is probably more it.
Probably because the no goal kicking. Obviously, we were very fortunate to find out no goal kicking last week, but I'm keen purely down to this draw. We've got up against Manly. We've got up against the Wars in Melbourne, the Finns, the Rabbitohs in Melbourne, the Raiders at Suncorp, the Tigers in Melbourne, the Sharkies, and the bye. If he is goal kicking this weekend and Jerome Hughes is back in, then yeah, I'm really, really keen. I think you're breaking even if he's not goal kicking. So do like the bye. Understand why people didn't go there last week because obviously Gutho was the more pressing buy with that minus 60 break even or whatever it was. But yeah, definitely do like the Pappy buy this week, mate. Speaking of Gutho, he's the next man on our list. 3, 2, 1. Again, I'll go first this time. I was very anti-Gutho because, well, it's Gutho, but it was a very, very nervous watch for me last week. I think you're paying, not overs, but he has shown, I can't believe I'm saying this, but he has shown himself to be a top 5 fullback, which I think is enough to be a keeper. In terms of averages, I think he could be a top 5 fullback.
Yeah, I'm still not like, yeah, he's come out absolutely guns blazing. But this team hasn't been sensational. I'm not super excited to see where they're going with this. And I think he has kind of topped out where he is. Look, yeah, of course he might get one other small price rise. And again, if it's just not this week, I'd probably just rather target some other fullbacks. Look, you honestly, you might have convinced me on Pappy after you ran through that draw.
I will note on Gutho, I reached out to our boy Jay Schubert, who does all the break evens over on Twitter. I said to him, "Hello, big fella. Can I have your hand?" And he said, "I'll be free later tonight." I said, "No worries. I'd love to know Gutho's break even over the next couple of weeks with a 50, 60, and 70 score this week. So if Gutho scores 50 this week, his break even next week is at 140. If he scores 60 points this week, his break even is 133. And if he scores 70 points this week, his break even is 126. So that's the caveat, I guess. A lot of people bought last week for this like glorious cash generation. If he does fail 2 weeks in a row, it does get quite dicey, but I am confident in the draw. I'm confident in the Dragons' attack to run through him. Was very, very nervous watch last week in the wet. He was everywhere. I think I've changed my tune. I think he could genuinely be a top 5 fullback with all the outs that we've had. With Trell playing a couple of weeks at center, I think that's going to really lower his average with Turbo out. No one really is putting their hand up to be that dominant sort of number 1 fullback outside of KP. So definitely could be a play, not the most priority buy for me, but if you were looking at Gutho, like I'm not going to talk you out of it. Mate, next one on the rapid buy hold list, Nafahu White. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, we haven't agreed on anything. I love this. Talk to me on that. Why?
Look, I think with the negative break even, with the way that I see his role this year, yeah, 500k, I think is still playing unders. I think he can be a 600k guy. I think that he's the leader of this pack. I think he's the, dare I say, the Warrior Hargreaves of this team now. Yeah, and with the handy duel, like what's been exciting people about second row forward, like I could even see him slotting in there as a 500k guy that could be a genuine sort of keeper. We know Roosters play 2 of the major buys. He's not playing Origin. Yeah, I just think like when you've got like because I think May could genuinely play Origin this year. Like when you have a look at your Haas's, your Mays, your Tinos, like you might need that duel to field teams through Origin, and I think 500k negative break even, perfectly fine. I do think you've probably missed the boat, but I could get around it this week.
Interesting. I think the boat. I don't think you've missed it. I think it's like 3 stops. Like if you're on the water in Sydney and you're looking at getting a ferry, I don't think you've missed your stop. I think it's like you're in Balmain and the ferry's in Circular Quay. Like, I think you're miles away. You've got no idea what that reference is as you live in Brisbane. But now, as I'm a true Sydney man, I've been here for all 5 minutes, I can make those references. But for me, mate, Naf, he's gone 43, 56, 87, 77. Both those games have been with attack. His minutes have been 48, 57, 57, 50. I think he's floating somewhere between that 50 and 55 minutes. At maybe a 1 ppm. I think his true average is like 55, and I think you're paying 500K for it. I mean, I'm looking at selling him in like 3 weeks' time. I generally think like in 3 weeks' time, we can get Nafahu White at like 570, and I can sell him to like an Adam Fanua-Blake. Like I don't see the longevity in Naf White. I think he caps out in a couple of weeks' time.
And I know we've been disagreeing, but I do love a good argument. I could genuinely see people buying Gutho and Pappy, selling them in 3 weeks' time as well. Like, how much
more confidence do you have if I said to you, hey man, pick a season keeper out of Gutho or Naf White?
I mean, yeah, but I don't care if Naf White scores 55s. I care if Pappy scores 50s.
Do you though? Like when guys like Adam Fanua-Blake are putting up like 80 points for fun?
He's also a lot dearer.
Yeah, but I think you can like get within like 120K within a couple of I don't know. Like, I just think Naf White, if you're jumping on now, it's definitely not chasing last week's points, but I think you're paying pretty much near enough value. Like, yeah, like you're buying him for 500 and he might plot around at 550, which for me is not season keeper territory. If he was putting up like Horsburgh numbers, like if he was putting up, so Horse is averaging 67. If he's doing that, then yeah, of course. I mean, I'd still pay. So Corey Horsburgh and Naf White are the same price right now, just to put that into perspective.
Yeah.
And
also, I think Corey Horsburgh is still a buy.
Of course he is. Yeah. But like, I'm much more confident paying $490 for Horsburgh than I am $490 for Naf White.
Yep.
Mate, Latrell Mitchell. A lot of people are jumping on first. Round 3, 2, 1. No, yes. I cannot pay. I love Latrell. I'd give him the Hawk tour, but I cannot pay 880K for a center. No center has ever gone close to averaging 88. No true center. No, I love him. I just can't do it. In saying that, he could score 120 this week. He's up against Rob Toyer, which is a very, very tough matchup for Rob Toyer. It is fifth NRL game. Like, it's a brutal matchup for old Rob. But yeah, not keen on Trell. And last one, mate, the thorn in my side. It is Jake Preston. 3, 2, 1. No.
So as somebody that hasn't owned him, right? I saw the first week and he just didn't get that much ball. I think he scored a 50. His lowest score is 47, so that's when he scored that 47. He had an absolute ripper last week. Look, the couple games in the middle have been pretty good as well. We're talking 55s and things like that. At 630Ks, what's changed from the first week when you went to buy him, except that he's got a 25 break even now? I know he's flipped over to kick our side while kick our's been out, but man, I don't think much has changed for Jacob Preston. I think if you're a Jacob Preston owner, he's a hold. I wouldn't be rushing out to buy him. I'm obviously not going out there to buy him. I'd be getting Olakau'atu or somebody like that if I'm buying a second row forward. But I don't hate it if you believe in the doggies.
So my concern is, he might fucking rip apart whoever's on the right this week, Tyson Frizzell. But then they have the bye next week, the week after that. So they have the bye in round 6. And then you would expect Viliami Kikau back to be back in round 7. And then he goes back to the right and he goes back to being a batting ram and back to being a plotter. And I just can't do it. We got a couple more rapid fire sells, actually. I thought we were done with them, but we've got a couple more. We will actually rapid fire these ones. These ones probably don't need much mention. Yeah. Maybe the last two. Rob Toyer, rapid fire sell, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I'm selling.
I'm okay to hold, but he is the guy that I would if I didn't own Skelton, I would sell Rob Toyer to move to Jenkins. He is the one that's most sellable, but I'm not going out of my way. He's not like a must sell.
No.
Sandon Smith, mate. 3, 2, 1. I'm okay with holding Sandon Smith. We'll keep that gravy train moving. Harry Grant. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
Nah,
let's hold him.
You've come this far. See it out. Aaron Clark. 3, 2, 1.
I'm mid.
Nah,
I could get around selling him or buying him. Like
I cannot. I cannot.
I'm holding him, but like he's just he's a plotter at this point at
Is he?
500k.
Dylan Walker just left, and his score went through the roof. Like I'm pretty keen to give him more of a sample size, see how he goes. Like if he's still putting up mid 60s, I think he's a fine hold. Hot take: I'd rather have. Oh, this could be spicy in the chat.
No, don't. No,
we've got thread of people in the chat. I would rather buy this week. I would rather buy Aaron Clark than I would rather buy Naf White.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jacob Preston.
Oh, no. Fuck. What the no? What the hell? I would rather buy.
I thought you were going to say Preston.
No, ill. No, I'd rather buy Aaron Clark than I would rather buy Naf White.
Yeah, that's fair. Last one, Asako.
3, 2, 1. No, we've lost so much money. I've lost nearly 100k on him. I've got to say it out.
Yeah, and I mean, like it will dip and peak and whatever, but they're just so bad, and I don't think it's going to get much better. I don't want any Dolphins assets that aren't a battering ram through the middle, and I could genuinely go Asako down to Tom Jenkins and have enough money to spend for my wildest dreams. And Tom Jenkins will outscore Asako this week, so I'll tell you that for free.
Oh, Baltimore?
Yep.
All right,
let's do it.
Deal. Sweet. I mean, I hope they both score. I hope Asako scores 100 and Jenkins scores 99 because I'm playing them both.
Yeah.
In saying that, though, the Dolphins actually have a pretty not yucky buy schedule, but they miss 13, they miss 18, and they miss 21. So the buys are all quite condensed. They're pretty clear if they run home, but yeah, I just think like one good score. We saw what he did in round 1. He scored a double, got 96. The floor's fine. He scored 39, 30, 34. Like the goal kicking definitely helps the floor. It's not ideal, like for my 600k asset to be scoring mid 30s, but yeah, it's just what you sign up for when you pick a high volatile center wing. Mate, let's move in. Do we have a media asset for this one? Let's move into.
Yeah, I got it.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
And this one is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. Maddie, as a homeowner yourself, you'd know very much about rates and the way the world's going. And if your rates are above 5.9% and you want to buy your first home, renovate, or even just save some money like the rest of us in this world, then Ryan is your guy. He is definitely a guy. He does all the heavy lifting and has over 40 lenders on the panel, including major banks, to get you the best deal. And the best part is there's absolutely no obligations, and it doesn't cost you a single cent. You can book your free consult via the link in our description below, and just let you know that Insight sent you. Ryan, shout out to him as a long-time follower and long-time supporter of the Insight Network, mate. Captains this week. I've been pretty vocal about buying Nathan Cleary, and for the first time ever, I get to run VCC 2 halfbacks. Nico against Canberra, Cleary up against the Cows. How good?
Yeah, well done, sir. I'd have Nico, but I reckon I could this week. A few more outs. He just doesn't seem to be in control of the game. I understand your post to the casual sort of. I don't want to call some of the people trying to rinse you casual fans, but
mate, I'm very clean. I'm clean tonight with how much rinse, how much rinsed I've been. But I don't even shower. I'm so clean after being rinsed.
But you absolutely copped it, and like, I don't think Nico's a buy either at the moment. So I'm obviously not buying him. I'm going to go elsewhere for my points. Do I like the matchup against Canberra? Look, I still don't love it. I know they haven't been sensational, but their defense is historically pretty good. I would definitely be VCing Nico into C Cleary if I could, but yeah, look, they're the 2 best class, and then they're daylight. Oh, look, okay, so we've got Josh, we got the brother-in-law in the chat. I will find
does Josh have multiple. Josh has got a burger pay and a beer vlog.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
mate,
you gotta. Mate, you gotta follow him. Give me a sec. You keep talking about Nico.
Yeah, of course. We'll talk about captains. We've got Gutho up against Parramatta. Revenge game of the season. How good? I mean, Gutho's involved in everything, and if he's getting a sniff down that line, I think he could be in. Mate, I reckon some Gutharinos could be out in full force. Hands above the head, hips moving. I think the Gutharino could be out in full force. We've got Hot Boy of the Week, Flavor of the Week, Jaden Campbell taking on the Dolphins in that Queensland derby. We've got Reece Walsh and Payne Haas up against the West's Tigers. Look, I think this game's going to be an absolute slaughter. But on the positives, we get to see the two best front rowers in the world take each other on in Payne Haas and Terrell May. So shout out to them. And last but not least,
I'm a bit more excited to go Walsh with the way that I think this game will go. I think they'll be going downhill pretty quickly. It's so hard to captain Walsh with his current form, but I do think that you could go.
No, I'm gonna.
Like,
no,
yeah,
stop. I'm gonna keep recommending Walsh because, like, I'm just gonna keep forgetting about the bad ones, and when the good ones come, we'll be like, "See, told you." Don't worry about the 35 average he's had the last 6 weeks.
I like Wayne Mulligan's call VC Cobbo into C Tuipulotu.
That's the vibes. And the last one, mate, the top averaging Melbourne Storm player, as spoken by yourself, Ryan Papenhuyzen against Manly. Let's address the elephant in the room. No Kalen Ponga up against the Dogs. I just think they're just way too good defensively.
Yeah, and that's all. I'm like, it actually felt weird to not type Ponga into the notes this week. He's a captain option, but the Dogs are the top team in the comp. They've done it defensively. Yeah, look, I'm just not that excited to do it. I do think there's plenty of like wingers that you could chase, like some high upside spots in here. But these are the safe ones that are probably going to get you home, especially with some of those juicy ones early on in the round. You want to get at least a vice captain in one of those guys. We all know that we disagree with captaining on a Thursday night. So, okay, mate, I've found it.
His beer blog.
BWR_Joshua_ is this beer blog. And I tell you what, people that follow me will understand this. Do you want to see pictures of beers on Instagram? And
who doesn't?
And Beer Joshua has got you sorted. Pop in, give him a follow. And I tell you what, if you really like his pictures of the beers, you should also follow Burger King Josh as well. That's his burger blog. Josh is a good bloke from up this way. So get in here, follow him on Instagram, and I appreciate you guys hopping on. So.
Nah, all good, mate. We've got a couple of questions and we'll wrap up. Mate, this has been the quickest show of the season with No Brainer here. Fantastic. Jono Davis wants to know, Matty, how was the, obviously, Patreon followers would know Matty was off to his semi-final last night in basketball. I asked maybe if we could get a Kai Soto or a Yao Ming maybe to play for them, or maybe an Andrea Bagnani. But Matty, there's no basketball for you next week. So what does that mean?
Yeah, no, we didn't have a win. Did top score for those of you playing at home for Mattrix's TBL Supercoach.
Nice.
Did top score, did get plenty of assists, did play a lot, did foul out, so I got a few negatives there in fouls. Fouled out with 5 minutes to go. Look, we were up at one point. We were within about 5. Heading into the fourth, and just pulled away, fouled out. We ended up losing by 20. And I tell you what, this Italian backpacker's there, and like I got the wife and kids in the crowd yelling out.
Oh no!
Everybody's out there watching. Anyway, so he scored a bucket in the fourth, and he just waved to the bench. He's turned over B grade basketball and just gave us a wave. Like we didn't get the sleep, but I was expecting this to come out. But we got the wave. I tell you what, and like nothing makes you want to punch on at the end of a B grade game than someone acting like an absolute flog, beating a bunch of has-beens.
But the problem is though, if you're up by 20, you're 100% giving the wave to the crowd. You're doing it yourself.
I actually get really polite. Like when I'm down, I'm niggly, and when it's tight, when it's real close, and we win, I'm up there.
If you get like a 3 in the face, you're like,
yeah,
no, I didn't mean to.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck, that's just poor luck. This is really bad luck. So
Colin Robertson wants to know, with the Tigers potentially losing Luai and coming off a heartbreaking loss, would you say now is the time for Tigers fans to crack each open's skull and feast on the goo inside? You're giving a lot of credit to Tigers fans for having anything upstairs. Obviously, mate, at the start of the show, it was a train wreck, and Jamie Camilleri said we are the Parramatta Eels of Supercoach, which is fucking very fitting for the two of us. 100%. Nikhil says, is it worth downgrading Arthur's to Sheba with my second trade? Fuck.
No, I think that's a waste of a trade.
I don't know, man. I'm so torn on Sheba. Like, I'm so torn on like what to do with him if you don't own him, because like I don't know if I can go to bed and feel good about myself and wake up as like a man of society and like a contributing member of like this world if I have to look at myself at work. You know, I mean, if I'm in a Teams meeting and I look down at the bottom of my screen, I just see myself staring back at me, and I know that man there has paid $408,000 for Garrett Shibasaki. I don't know if I could genuinely live much longer knowing that I paid that. But in saying that, like, there's a world where he gets like 580. And that's not a world that I want to live in, that Garrett Shibasaki is 580K in Supercoach. That's not a fun place to be.
And it's hard. Like, if you said somebody other than Arthur's, I might have had a bit more. But, like, the upside is a lot higher. And I know Shibasaki just scored 120 or whatever he did. But that was 116. In my opinion, that was the game, the way that it went with how wet. Like, you couldn't play your wingers. So Sheba was just Jesse Arthurs for the night. That's all I feel with that game. Like, yeah, like his lowest score was 34. The base has been pretty good. But, like, if he comes out and scores 50, does he really kill you if he's 480K? Probably not.
No, you lose a couple of K. Justin P wants to know, Josh, have you sold Cobbo yet? Not a chance. I'm not selling Cobbo against a rookie winger. Not one bit. Steve says Drinkwater is the play. Now I'll let you know a little secret, little hot tip. Buy, hold, and sell round 8. Scott Drinkwater is probably going to feature from me. We do come back to the Titans, the Warriors, Panthers, Manly, Tigers, Storm, Dolphins, Roosters, Titans. Pretty good run for old Scotty Drink. And if he is goal kicking, then we have a Keen in the preseason. Cowboys are starting to look okay. Keen in the regular season, round 8. Haggy says, remember when we picked Ponga at 5'8"? Those were the days. I'll rage one better. We got Drinkwater at 5'8" the year after.
Oh, Drinkwater at 5'8" was an enigma. That was beautiful.
It was the year he averaged like 80 as well. It fed families. It was all time. Wayne Mulligan, longtime fan of the show, says, now Latrell's back. Does it make Cody Walker relevant now that he's bottomed out at 400K?
He's 470. But keep walking, Wayne.
No, hope this helps.
Yeah, I think if he was 400K, maybe we could get on it. That's Flano money.
His break-even's 81. Let's have a look. I'm going to use Supercoach projections to see what he can bottom out to. So they project him to score 38 this week and 40 next week, which would see him bottom out at 410K. I could be okay with jumping on. Maybe I jump on. Actually, no, because he plays the Roosters this week, the Cowboys next week. Then he plays the Bulldogs and the Storm. Then after that, it's the Knights, the Broncos, the Tigers, the Warriors, the Raiders, the Dogs, Melbourne during the buys. I could jump on at like 4.
Yeah. If it was genuine 400K, but it's 470 at the moment. High break even for what he's scoring. I don't think 80 is exceptionally high break even, but for a guy pumping out 30s, it is.
He has gone. Fuck me, what a fall from grace. 28, 48, 39, 27.
Yep.
This guy used to average 70.
He's also like 43.
He's an old man.
He's just averaging his age.
Good call. Radio Buckley, also long time follower of the show, says, is there a universe where Cody Walker is a buy with Latrell back?
If he gets younger, yes.
Yeah. If he learns to turn back time. Or if he was Thomas Duffy price of 198K. Fresh Prince, also regular contributor, says, what are your thoughts on the other podcasts being worried about Seyfarth and the high tackle crackdown? Apparently Seyfarth has the most high tackles in the comp. I don't listen to other podcasts, so I didn't know that was a thing. But not too concerned. I don't really plan for HIAs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, I don't want other podcasters to impact what I say, so I also do the same. While I respect it, like sometimes you just hear something and you're like, "Oh, that's a good call," and you go to take that on yourself accidentally.
Yeah, like people like recommending Luke Metcalf.
Yeah, don't be influenced by big podcasters.
In saying that though, like I was actually thinking about this, mate. Like if we get this like high tackle crackdown, then fuck me, we could get some monster scores from our outside backs and our fullbacks and our halfbacks. So always try and look at the positives. Chad Hookie, is there any interest in Bradman Best as a pod? Fuck, I can get around this. I love a good pod.
Like a poor man's Herbie? Yeah, I like it.
Well, is he a poor man's Herbie? I reckon he could be like he could be a Coles Herbie. Like if Herbie is Woolworths, I think Bradman Best could be Coles. Like slightly worse. Like we all know Coles is worse than Woolworths.
Mate, if Bradman Best is best, Herbie is better.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Herbie is better, but Herbie's Woolworths and Bradman Best is Coles. Like there's not much separating them. I mean, Woolworths is better. But like it's not like I'll go to Coles if it's on the way home. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to avoid it.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. Yeah, look, I can get around Best. I do just think like Marj. Like I don't think Marju is a buy, but I also am not sure if Best is a buy at the moment. But if you've got a pod, you definitely don't do it this week. Against the doggies. So just wait a week, Chad.
Does have a break even of -16 though. So if you do wait, he could be 700k next week, which is Herbie.
Is he have a break even of -17?
Yeah, bro. He got 40 in round one. Then he's got 99, 109.
Fuck yeah! Actually, I changed my tune. I'm actually bringing him in now.
Does have the Dogs, then has the Tigers at home, the Sharks at home, the Warriors, the what are they called? Roosters at Magic, and the Rabbitohs at Magic Round, into the Titans, into the Eels. Fuck, that's a very good draw for KP. Just thinking about it just quietly. Yeah, I like Bradman Best as a bit of a pod. Love a good pod shout. FC Sports wants to know who is the best turbo replacement. Oh, fuck. I mean, one's KP by a significant margin.
Do you, if you have KP
already?
No, so if you don't have KP, do you wait a week until he's not playing the Bulldogs and just leave Turbo to rot?
What's his BE?
72.
So what, you're planning for a shit week this week?
Yeah, I don't think I would bring in Ponga against the Bulldogs.
Are you happy to buy him with like 110 break even though? Like if you look down at that and be like, okay, I'm okay with that.
Probably.
Better. I'm buying clear with like 140 break even, so it doesn't worry me.
Yeah. I think I'd be.
I don't mind. I don't mind just waiting. I don't mind buying Pappy. If you can avoid a fullback, then I mean, I wasn't keen on Hines, but with the news that Wilton's out and Eero's out, then fuck, maybe you just do go Hines.
Do you just buy Walsh at 600k against the Tigers? 76 break even.
I mean, are we overlooking Teddy?
I mean, yeah, I have all year.
124 break even. That's the only downside. But 859k. I mean, honestly, all signs point to just waiting a week, letting Teddy come down in price, letting Cleary come down if you don't own him. Let's see if Pappenhausen's goal kicking, letting Ponga get out of that tough matchup against the Dogs as well. So, yeah, all signs for me, it's tough when you've got an 800k asset there. But this is the thing, mate. Like people are like, oh, I'm upgrading. And like people think like just because you're spending more on a play doesn't mean it's an upgrade. Like people are like, oh, I'm selling Metcalf and I'm upgrading to this player. I'm like, yeah, is it really an upgrade or is it just a more priced asset? So it sucks, but I think you could definitely just wait a week on Turbo, unless you don't have like a Haas or a May. I mean, they're probably two obvious ones to have up top. Then AFB as well. But if you're looking for those high upside guys, Walsh this week. Pappy this week, or you can just wait for like KP or Teddy next week. Fresh Prince says, again, we were talking about Terrell May and Payne Haas playing each other this week, mate, and he says, as a Queenslander and a Supercoach fan, he's fearing the Blues front row of Payne Haas and Terrell May. And as a Queenslander myself, mate, as a proud boy from Logan in Brisbane, I am fucking terrified.
Yeah, it's a big pack. Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Always like the last 5 years, it's been like, oh yeah, New South Wales have had like star-studded backs. They've got Clear, they've got Turbo, they've got Trell, they've got Teddy, they've got To'o. We have Edric Lee and
Branko Lee
and Corey Allen. But we always had the forward pack to be like, yeah, well, we have the Australian forward pack, and now
Police
it's like,
Kafusi.
Yeah. Felice Kafusi, Brendan Piacora. But now it's like we have Ruben Cotter and Lindsay Collins, and they have Terrell May and Payne Haas and fucking just every other guy. They're looking like their edges are Keon Kolamatangi, Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, Hudson Young, Ohama Olakawatu. We're sitting here with Jaden Sewer.
Yeah, but somehow the Blues team would be if I picked Supercoach team with unlimited dollars and they'll still find a way to lose. So,
and then last one from Josh T says, no Eero means some better ball for Nico coming inside rounds inside the 15-20. I unfortunately agree. Put up a post saying I didn't think Nico was a good buy. Then sure as shit, Teague Wilton is ruled out and all the balls going to go right. And I'm going to look like a fuckwit. But that's fine because he's my VC this week. So it's like, hey, you win some, you lose some. Have I ever not looked like a fuckwit on Twitter, Mattrix? This is not a first thing.
No, hope this helps.
That's everything, mate. That's everything for this week. That's round 5. Fuck, it's round 5 already in the books.
Good luck this week, man. I think it'll come down to captains. There'll be some weird start sits, I think, this week. Everybody's team is starting to look a bit more puffed up. I had a few Warriors. I actually found myself not being able to field a team in one of my draft leagues due to having like Aaron Clark, James Fisher-Harris, and fucking Chance Nickel-Klokstad and the rest of the team. So
let's
for
quickly address this from Kez. It says, won't Payne Haas lose origin status with the Samoa affiliation? Unfortunately for me, no, because Samoa is still a tier 2 nation. So you can go back and play for Samoa, same way Terrell can. Seems like, mate, they want to get Tino as well. Apparently Tino is like potentially. If you had Terrell May, Payne Haas, and Tino, you just don't pick a bench. Like, you're not making any fucking interchanges. It's just all three of those guys playing 80 minutes.
You know what? If we're talking about putting our best team on the park, we could see fullback Tino.
Sticky back there. He'll do a job off the kick return.
All right, guys. That's probably enough dribble. Mate, good luck. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.